A pregnant black woman managed a gas station alone on a deserted highway until a dangerous biker showed up. That's when everything changed. The gas station's fluorescent lights buzzed in the empty parking lot. Naomi counted the day's earnings, her swollen feet aching against the hard floor, her pregnant belly pressed against the counter as she stacked the bills. 8 months along, working alone, in the middle of nowhere. Just a few more weeks, she muttered, rubbing her lower back. The clock showed 11:43 p.m., almost closing time. She walked to the front door, keys jingling in her hand. The dark highway stretched empty in both directions. A motorcycle's roar cut through the silence. Naomi froze. The bike swerved into the lot, engine sputtering. The rider barely made it to the pump before the machine died completely. "Hey!" The man's voice was rough, desperate. "Please tell me you're still open." Naomi's hand tightened around her keys. The rider was tall, covered in road dust. His leather jacket was worn, and a long scar ran down his left cheek. "We're closing," she said firmly. "Please." He pulled off his helmet. Sweat ran down his face. "My bike's dead. I need help. There's another station 40 miles ahead. I won't make it." He ran a hand through his dark hair. "Look, I'm not trying to cause trouble. Name's Jackson." The timing belt snapped. "I just need tools." Naomi studied him. His eyes were intense but clear. No signs of drugs or drinking. "I can look at it," she said finally. "But I'm locking up first. You wait out here." "Yes, ma'am." He stepped back, hands raised slightly. Naomi secured the register and grabbed her toolbox from the back office. Her father had taught her mechanics before he passed. One of the few useful things he'd left her. The bike was a Harley, older model. She knelt carefully, using the toolbox for balance. "You shouldn't be," Jackson started. "I know what I'm doing." She opened the timing belt cover. The brake was clean. "Got a spare belt?" "In my pack." He watched as she worked, surprise clear on his face. Her fingers moved quickly, replacing the belt with practiced ease. The baby kicked, making her pause. "You okay?" Jackson asked. "Fine." She wiped her hands on a rag. "Try it now." The engine caught on the first try, purring smoothly. "That's impressive." He reached for his wallet. "What do I owe you?" "50 for the labor, plus the belt." He handed over several crumpled bills. Their eyes met briefly. "Thanks," he said quietly. "Not everyone would have helped." "Just be careful out there." Naomi stepped back. "Roads get tricky at night." Jackson nodded, pulling his helmet on. The bike roared to life, and he disappeared into the darkness. Naomi locked up, her hands slightly greasy. The encounter left her unsettled. Something in his eyes spoke of trouble, the kind that followed you down empty highways at midnight. She drove home slowly, one hand on her belly. The baby moved restlessly, picking up on her tension. "It's okay," she whispered. "He's gone now." But as she lay in bed that night, she couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the last she'd see of the mysterious biker. The desert wind howled outside her window, carrying echoes of motorcycle engines in the distance. Her hand found her phone, checking the station's security cameras one last time before sleep took her. Empty parking lot. Empty road. For now. The morning sun hit the gas pumps hard. Naomi wiped sweat from her forehead, restocking the shelves. Her back ached. The storeroom felt smaller each day as her belly grew. The familiar rumble of a motorcycle made her pause. Jackson pulled up to the front door, his bike gleaming in the sunlight. Different from last night, cleaned up, less desperate. "Morning," he called out, killing the engine. "Bike's running perfect." Naomi nodded, continuing to stack energy drinks. "Good. Look, I noticed your security camera's loose." He pointed to the corner unit. "Mind if I take a look?" She studied him. Clean clothes, alert eyes, still dangerous looking, but somehow less threatening in daylight. "Why?" "Consider it payback for helping me last night." Naomi checked her phone. 10:30 a.m. Few customers this time of day. "Fine, ladders in the back." Jackson worked quietly, tightening the mount. His movements were precise, practiced. When he finished, the camera sat perfectly aligned. "You do this kind of work?" Naomi asked. "Used to. Before." He trailed off, wiping his hands. "Got any other repairs need doing?" The ceiling fan had been squeaking for weeks. The storage room light flickered, small things she hadn't had time to fix. "Maybe a few." They worked through the morning. Jackson handled the repairs, while Naomi managed the occasional customer. They moved around each other carefully, keeping distance. "Why'd you learn mechanics?" he asked during a break. Naomi leaned against the counter. "My dad owned this place before me." "He's still around?" "No." She met his eyes. "You're running from something." It wasn't a question. Jackson's jaw tightened. "What makes you say that?" "Nobody helps strangers for free. Not out here." He was quiet for a moment. "Maybe I'm trying to change that." A truck pulled up outside. Naomi straightened. "We all try to change things." The customer entered. A regular, Pete from the ranch down the road. He eyed Jackson suspiciously. "Everything okay, Naomi?" Pete asked, hand resting near his belt. "Fine, Pete. Just some repairs." Jackson stepped back, giving them space. Pete bought his usual coffee, cigarettes, beef jerky. His eyes never left the biker. When Pete left, Jackson gathered his tools. "Your guard dog seems protective," he said. "People look out for each other here." Naomi rubbed her belly absently. "Have to." "The baby's father? He look out for you too?" Her face hardened. "He looked out for himself. Left when I told him I was pregnant." Jackson's expression darkened. "Coward." "Yeah." She met his gaze. "But I managed." Clearly. He gestured around the store. "Running this place alone, fixing bikes at midnight? Pretty impressive." "Not impressive. Necessary." A comfortable silence fell. Jackson packed his tools slowly, like he was waiting for something. "Place could use a security system," he said finally. "Real one, not just cameras." Naomi raised an eyebrow. "You offering?" "Maybe, if you trust me to install it." "Trust is earned." But she didn't say no. He nodded, understanding. "I'll be around, if you change your mind." The bike roared to life. This time, watching him leave felt different. Less like a stranger disappearing, more like someone who might return. Naomi locked up that night with new cameras watching. The desert darkness felt less empty, less threatening. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Checked the drawer under the register. She found a business card there. J. Walker, Security Systems. A phone number scrawled on the back. Naomi saved the number but didn't text back. Not yet. The baby kicked, stronger than before. "Yeah," she whispered. "I know. He's different." The night wind carried no motorcycle sounds, but she knew now he'd be back. The question was, what kind of trouble would follow him when he did? 3 bikers pulled into the station at sunset. Heavy machines, loud pipes. Not the kind that stopped for gas and snacks. Naomi's hand moved to the panic button under the counter. Through the window, she watched them circle the lot. A familiar rumble approached. Jackson's bike appeared, pulling up casually between the store and the other bikers. The lead rider dismounted. Patches on his jacket. Demon's Hand, MC. Bad news. Jackson entered the store first, movements relaxed, but eyes alert. "Evening?" He nodded to Naomi. "Got any coffee left?" The bell chimed again. 2 of the bikers walked in, leather creaking. The third stayed with the bikes. "Looking for someone," the bigger one said. Beard, tattoos on his neck. "Might have passed through." "Lots of people pass through," Naomi replied evenly. Jackson poured his coffee slowly, positioned between Naomi and the men. "This one's special," Beard said. "Owes some people money. Rides a black Harley." "Haven't seen him?" Naomi's voice was firm. The second biker browsed the shelves, knocking items down carelessly. "Nice place. Shame if something happened to it." Jackson turned. "Think the lady asked you to leave?" Beard's eyes narrowed. "This ain't your business, friend." "Making it my business." Tension crackled. Naomi's finger hovered over the panic button. Everything okay in here? Pete's voice cut through. He stood in the doorway, shotgun casual but ready. The bikers assessed the situation. 3 against 3 now. Just leaving, Beard said finally. Remember what we said, lady? They backed out slowly. Engines roared to life, then faded into distance. Pete lowered his shotgun. You okay, Naomi? Fine. She breathed deeply. Thanks, Pete. Saw them pull in. Called the sheriff too. He's on his way. Jackson stiffened slightly. I should go. Wait. Naomi looked at Pete. Give us a minute. Pete nodded, stepping outside but staying visible through the window. Those men, Naomi said. They're looking for you. Jackson didn't deny it. Yes. Why? It's complicated. Uncomplicated. Her voice hardened. I've got a baby to think about. He ran a hand through his hair. I used to ride with them. Did some things I'm not proud of. When I tried to leave, he gestured vaguely. They want money? They want blood. His eyes met hers. I'll go. You don't need this trouble. Naomi studied him. The man who fixed her cameras, who kept coming back. The sheriff will be here soon, she said finally. You should leave, but come back tomorrow. You sure? No, but Pete can't watch this place forever. And you owe me a security system. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Tomorrow, then. He left through the back. When the sheriff arrived, there was nothing to report. Just some rowdy bikers passing through. That night, Naomi added cameras to the back lot. Her phone buzzed. Thanks, Jackson's text read. She didn't respond, but she saved the footage from earlier. Evidence, she told herself. But of what? She wasn't sure. The baby moved restlessly. I know, she whispered. More complications. But as she checked the locks one final time, she realized something had shifted. The station felt safer with Jackson's shadows lurking nearby than it had in months of solitude. Tomorrow would bring more questions, more danger probably, but also answers, and maybe something worth the risk. 2 weeks passed. Jackson came every day, installing security piece by piece. Cameras, sensors, silent alarms. His hands worked steadily, face focused. Someone taught you well, Naomi said, watching him wire a motion detector. Military. He didn't look up. Before the club. She restocked shelves nearby, her movements slower now. 8.5 months pregnant. You're favoring your right side, Jackson noticed. Baby's sitting weird today. He finished the wiring, closed the panel. Take a break. I'll watch the counter. You know how to run the register? A small smile. I can figure it out. She sat in the office, feet up. Through the security feeds, she watched him handle customers. Efficient, polite, professional. Not the man those bikers were hunting. The afternoon sun hit the windows. Jackson brought her water, kept his distance. Why'd you join the club? She asked. He leaned against the doorframe. Needed family. Thought I found it. What changed? They wanted things I couldn't give. His jaw tightened. People got hurt. Naomi nodded. The baby kicked hard, making her wince. Jackson stepped forward, concerned, then caught himself. It's okay, she said softly. You can feel. Hesitantly, he placed his hand where she indicated. The baby kicked again. Strong, he said, voice rough. Like his mama, a new voice called. Pete stood in the doorway, eyebrows raised. Jackson stepped back quickly. Naomi struggled to her feet. Just checking the new systems, she explained. Pete's eyes swept the office. Quite an upgrade. Place needed it, Jackson said neutrally. Seems like you're around a lot lately. Pete? Naomi warned. Just saying. Pete bought his usual items. Sheriff mentioned those bikers are still in the area. Jackson's face revealed nothing. Good to know. After Pete left, tension lingered. He means well, Naomi said. He's right to be suspicious. Jackson checked the cameras again. I should stay away. Or you could tell me the whole truth. Their eyes met. Something shifted in the air. Not today. He gathered his tools. But soon. That evening, closing up, Naomi found herself smiling. Small things. The way he remembered how she liked her coffee, how he kept the toolbox out of her way, his quiet presence in the background. Her phone chimed. "Check the safe room," his text read. The storage room had a new addition, a hidden panic room, complete with supplies. Another message. "For emergencies, code is your dad's birth date." She touched the keypad. He'd been paying attention. "Thank you," she texted back. First time she'd responded. The reply came quickly. "Get some rest. I'll be around." That night, the desert wind carried no threats. The station hummed with new protections, silent guardians in the dark. The baby moved peacefully. "Yeah," she whispered, "I trust him too." But trust was a dangerous thing in the desert. Tomorrow could change everything. She checked the cameras one last time. No bikers, no threats, just empty road and starlight. And somewhere out there, a man trying to outrun his past, finding reasons to stay. The bikers returned at noon. 6 bikes this time. The security system pinged Naomi's phone before they hit the lot. Jackson was under a customer's car, doing a quick oil change. He slid out at the sound, face hardening. "Get inside," he told Naomi. "Use the room if needed." The lead rider was new, bigger than Beard. A patch on his jacket read, "President." Naomi's hand found her phone, Pete's number ready. "Well," the president called out. "Jackson Walker himself, playing mechanic now?" Jackson wiped his hands slowly. "Marcus, you know why we're here? Let's talk away from the station." Marcus laughed. "No, here's good." He looked at Naomi. "You know what he did, lady?" "Leave her out of this." Jackson's voice went cold. "He killed my brother." Marcus stepped forward. "Shot him point blank." Naomi's breath caught. Jackson didn't deny it. "Your brother was trafficking girls," he said quietly. "Children. Business is business. That's why I left." Marcus cracked his knuckles. "Left? You stole our money, killed Tommy, and ran. Money's gone. Gave it to the girls. Get them somewhere safe." 2 bikers circled behind Jackson. He didn't move. "Noble," Marcus spat. "Now you're protecting pregnant gas station girls? Found yourself a new mission?" "Walk away," Jackson warned. "While you can." Marcus pulled a knife. "No, you'll pay. Then she'll pay. Then—" The shotgun blast hit the ground at his feet. Pete stood by his truck, weapon raised. "Next one's higher," he called out. More trucks appeared. Ranch hands, rifles ready. The community responding to Naomi's silent alarm. Marcus assessed the odds. "This isn't over, Jackson." "It is," Jackson's voice carried. "I've got proof, about everything. One call, it goes to the FBI. You're bluffing." "Try me." The standoff stretched. Finally, Marcus stepped back. "Watch your back," he growled. "Both of you." The bikes roared away. Jackson's shoulders stayed tense until they disappeared. Pete approached, shotgun lowered. "Naomi, you okay?" She nodded, hands shaking slightly. "Thank you," she told the gathered men. "All of you." They dispersed slowly, eyes lingering on Jackson. Pete stayed. "Inside," Naomi said firmly. "Both of you." In the office, she faced Jackson. The whole truth. Now. He sat heavily. "I was undercover, FBI, infiltrated the club to bust a trafficking ring. Went too deep, saw too much. When I found the girls," he rubbed his face. "I broke protocol, killed Tommy, used club money to get the victims out. The FBI abandoned you," Pete guessed. "Operation was blown. They disavowed everything." Naomi's hand found her belly. "And now?" "Been running, gathering evidence, trying to make it right." "Those girls," she asked, "they safe?" "New identities, new lives." His eyes met hers. "Worth dying for." Pete cleared his throat. "Sheriff needs to know." "No." Naomi's voice was sharp. "Not yet." "Naomi," My station, my choice. She looked at Jackson. You're staying. It's not safe. Nowhere is, but we're stronger together. Pete sighed. I'll talk to the boys, set up patrols. After he left, silence fell. You should run, Jackson said quietly. I don't run. Her hand found his. Not anymore. The baby kicked, strong and sure. Outside, the desert sun beat down. The empty road stretched both ways. But they weren't alone anymore. The war was coming. But this time, Jackson had something worth fighting for. And Naomi had someone worth trusting, even if trust came with a price. The red Camaro pulled into the lot at sunset. Naomi recognized it instantly. Her heart stopped. What's wrong? Jackson asked, noticing her face. Michael. The name tasted bitter. The baby's father. The man who stepped out looked exactly as she remembered. Designer clothes, perfect hair, empty smile. Stay here, she said, walking out front. Michael's smile widened. Naomi, look at you. What do you want? Can't a man check on his child? He moved closer. You never returned my calls. There's nothing to discuss. I disagree. He pulled out papers. My lawyer thinks differently too. Naomi's hands shook. Lawyer? I want partial custody. His voice hardened. It's my right. Right? Her voice rose. You lost that right when you blocked my number, when you said it wasn't yours. I made a mistake. He reached for her arm. I can provide. Jackson appeared, silent but present. Michael stepped back. Who's this? Your bodyguard? Leave, Naomi said firmly. Not without an agreement. Michael waved the papers. Sign these, or we do this in court. Court? Jackson spoke softly. Where they'll ask about the drugs? Michael froze. What? The cocaine in your car. The deals you make every Friday behind that fancy restaurant. You don't... I know everything, Michael. Jackson stepped forward. Every deal, every buyer. Want those names in court? Sweat appeared on Michael's forehead. You're bluffing. Try me. Jackson pulled out his phone. Or should I call Detective Martinez now? The papers crumpled in Michael's hand. This isn't over. It is. Naomi found her strength. My baby. My life. Leave. Michael backed away, face twisted. The Camaro peeled out, throwing gravel. Naomi's legs gave out. Jackson caught her, helped her inside. How did you know? She asked, sitting behind the counter. Did background checks. On everyone around you. He handed her water. Saw his pattern. You've been watching him? Protecting you. His eyes met hers. Always. She touched his hand. Thank you. The moment stretched, his fingers intertwined with hers. He won't be back, Jackson promised. Good. She squeezed his hand. I've got better people in my life now. The station felt smaller suddenly, more intimate. A car pulled up outside. The spell broke, but something had changed. A wall had fallen. That night, closing up, Naomi found a new addition to the safe room. Legal papers, evidence of Michael's dealings. Her phone buzzed. Insurance, Jackson's text read. Just in case. She smiled, touching her belly. Your real protector, she whispered to the baby. He was worth waiting for. The desert stars twinkled through the window. No more ghosts, no more fear, just the promise of tomorrow and the man who kept his word, even if that word was given silently, in the language of actions and watchful eyes, in the language of love that grew like desert flowers, slowly, surely, unstoppable. The attack came at 2 a.m., glass shattered, alarms screamed. Naomi jerked awake in the office cot. She'd been too tired to drive home. Safe room? Now! Jackson's voice carried over gunfire. She moved as fast as her belly allowed. The storage room door felt miles away. More windows broke. Engines roared outside. Come out, Jackson! Marcus's voice boomed. Face it like a man! Naomi reached the safe room, punched in the code. Metal doors slid shut behind her. Through the security feeds, she watched hell break loose. Jackson moved like a shadow, using shelves as cover. 2 bikers down already, clutching wounded legs. Marcus fired again. Bullets punched through metal displays. "Got your girl locked up tight?" he taunted. "Won't save her." Jackson's voice was ice. "Last chance, Marcus. Walk away." "You killed my brother." "Your brother killed children." A Molotov cocktail crashed through a window. Fire spread fast. Naomi grabbed her phone, texted Pete. "Attack, fire, help." On screen, Jackson tackled a biker. They struggled. The gun went off. Blood spread across Jackson's shirt. "No!" Naomi's scream echoed in the safe room. Marcus laughed. "Bleed out slow, traitor!" Sirens wailed in the distance. Too far. Jackson pressed his wound, still moving, still fighting. 3 bikers left. Marcus reloaded. Truck engines roared closer. Rifle shots cracked. Pete's voice. "Drop the weapons! Now!" Ranch trucks surrounded the station. Rifles aimed from every angle. Marcus hesitated. Fire spread behind him. "It's over!" Pete shouted. "On your knees!" More sirens. Police this time. Marcus raised his gun. "Die first!" The shot came from Jackson. Clean. Center mass. Marcus fell. His gang surrendered. Naomi burst from the safe room. Smoke burned her lungs. Jackson lay against a shelf, bleeding badly. "Stay with me." She pressed her hands to his wound. "Please." "Safe," he coughed. "You're safe." "We both are." She held him close. "Both of us." Pete directed firefighters, police. Evidence everywhere. The baby kicked frantically. "Feel that?" Naomi grabbed Jackson's hand. "Stay for us." His eyes focused on hers. "Always." Ambulances arrived. Paramedics worked fast. "GSW to the shoulder," one called. "Major blood loss." Naomi refused to let go. Rode with him. The station burned behind them. Years of work, gone. But in the ambulance, holding Jackson's hand, she felt only gratitude. Buildings could be rebuilt. Lives were irreplaceable. The desert night blurred past. Sirens wailed. In the ER, they separated them. Naomi paced. Pete arrived, soot-stained. Marcus is dead. Gangs locked up. The station? Salvageable. Communities already volunteering to help rebuild. She nodded, touching her belly. "And Jackson?" "FBI's here. Want to talk to him." "After surgery," she said firmly. "He's earned that much." The baby moved, calmer now. Safe. Finally, safe. The desert dawn broke over the hospital. One battle ended. But their story was just beginning. If he survived, when he survived, she wouldn't accept any other outcome. The hospital chair dug into Naomi's back. 3 days of waiting. Jackson slept, monitors beeping steadily, color returning to his face. FBI agent Chen sat across from her. "Your statement matches the evidence. Walker was deep cover. Operation was solid until he saved those girls. Protocol exists for a reason." "Protocol?" Naomi's voice sharpened. "Those children needed help now." Chen sighed. "The Bureau's prepared to reinstate him, clear his record." "His choice." She touched her belly. "Not yours." The agent left papers on the table, walked out. Jackson's eyes opened. "How long was I out?" "Long enough." She moved closer. "How's the pain?" "Manageable." His hand found hers. "The station?" "Community's rebuilding. Pete's organizing everything." "I'm sorry." His voice roughened. "Your father's legacy is alive, in me." She squeezed his hand. "In us." He saw the FBI papers. "Chen was here? Want you back. And you? Want you here. Simple truth. If you want to stay." Silence stretched. His thumb traced circles on her palm. "No more running," he said finally. "No more hiding." The door opened. Pete entered, carrying blueprints. New security plans. He spread them out. "Better than before." Jackson studied them from the bed. "Need reinforced walls here and here." "Already ordered." Pete grinned. "Town's calling it a community center now. Safe spot for travelers." "Expensive," Naomi worried. "Anonymous donation." Pete winked. "FBI's got deep pockets." Jackson smiled slightly. "Least they could do." "Rest," Naomi ordered. "Planning can wait." But it didn't wait. The community moved fast. By week's end, the station's shell stood renewed, stronger. Jackson watched from his wheelchair. Doctor mandated rest. Workers called greetings, brought updates, shared meals. Never saw this coming, he told Naomi. Belonging somewhere. Desert folks, she smiled. Loyalty runs deep. The baby kicked, more active now, soon. Pete rolled up in his truck. Security systems ready. Want to see? The new cameras covered everything, no blind spots. Perfect, Jackson approved. What about inside? Safe rooms reinforced, panic buttons everywhere. Naomi watched them plan. 2 protectors, different styles, same heart. Her phone buzzed. Text from Chen. Papers need signing, she showed Jackson. Your call. He read the offer, looked at the station, at her. Tell them no. His voice was sure. Got better things to do. Pete laughed. Damn right. The desert sun set behind them, new walls rising. Community members worked into twilight, determined. Home, Naomi said softly. Jackson's hand found hers. Home. The station would reopen soon, different now, safer, stronger, like them. The baby moved, agreeing. Tomorrow waited, full of promise. No more running, only building, together. The security alert pinged at midnight, 3 trucks approaching fast. Not bikers, Jackson noted, watching the feeds. Worse. Naomi recognized the lead vehicle. Demon's hand back up. Pete's 2 minutes out. Jackson checked his shoulder. Mostly healed. Safe room, now. No. She stood firm. My station, I fight. 9 months pregnant. Exactly. She hit the silent alarm. My baby, my future, I fight. Headlights swept the lot. Men with rifles poured out. Walker, a voice called. Marcus's cousin sends regards. Jackson positioned himself by the door. 9 men, armed. Security grids ready. Naomi touched the controls. On my mark. The first shots shattered windows. Bulletproof glass held. Cute upgrades, the voice mocked. Won't save you. Naomi pressed the button. Outside lights died. Confusion erupted. Men stumbling blind. Night vision cameras showed everything. Jackson moved. 2 down before they knew he was there. Clean hits. Non-lethal. Grids up, a man shouted. Watch the... Naomi triggered the sprinklers. Water hit electric fences. Screams. More confusion. Jackson struck again. 3 more down. Police sirens wailed closer. Pete's truck roared in. Surrender! Pete's voice boomed. You're surrounded! The remaining men fired blindly. Bullets pinged harmlessly. Naomi watched Jackson fade into shadows. Reappear. Strike. One man reached the door. Met her shotgun. Back, she ordered. Now. He saw her belly. Hesitated. Fatal mistake. Jackson's hit dropped him cold. Police cars flooded the lot. Pete's men secured the scene. 8 arrested. 1 dead. Self-inflicted during capture. Clear! Officers shouted. Area secure! Naomi's legs shook. Jackson caught her. Foolish, he said softly. Brave. Necessary. She touched his face. Family fights together. The baby kicked. Hard. Her eyes widened. Oh, what's wrong? Not wrong. She smiled through sudden pain. Right time. The baby? Coming. Another contraction. Now. Pete called ambulances. Jackson didn't move. Been through firefights, he said. Never been so scared. Naomi laughed. Pain and joy mixed. Big tough biker afraid of birth? Terrified. She squeezed his hand. Good. Means you're ready. Paramedics arrived. Asked questions. Through it all, Jackson stayed. Steady. Present. The desert night sparkled with emergency lights. One chapter ending, another beginning. Their attacker's last stand became their baby's first story. Fitting, somehow. The station stood strong, protected its own, just like they protected each other, just like they always would. The station's front window displayed a new sign, Grand Reopening, Saturday. Naomi watched workers install the last security camera. Her hand rocked the baby carrier gently. Looking good, Pete approved, checking the wiring. Better than before. Little Thomas slept peacefully. 1 month old. Jackson's eyes, her determination. Supply truck's here, Jackson called from outside. Need help unloading. The new shelves gleamed, bulletproof glass everywhere. Still can't believe the turnout, Pete said, lifting boxes. Whole town pitched in. They'd rebuilt everything in 4 weeks. Community effort. Place needed updating anyway, Naomi smiled, supervising one-handed. The baby stirred. Jackson appeared instantly. My turn. He lifted Thomas carefully. Natural already. You rest. She watched them. Former undercover agent cradling her son. Life's strange turns. Truckers started stopping more often. Word spread. Safe haven. Got another runaway, Pete reported. Girl at the diner. Needs transport. Jackson nodded. I'll make calls. Get her somewhere safe. The station evolved. More than gas and snacks now. Security cameras watched the desert. Protected travelers. Thomas fussed. Feeding time. Meeting tonight, Pete reminded. Town council wants updates? We'll be there. Naomi took the baby. Community deserves input. Jackson stacked energy drinks. New muscle memory replacing combat training. Never thought I'd have this, he said quietly. Purpose. Family. Suits you. She smiled. Domestic life. Nothing domestic about our life. True. They'd helped 3 trafficking victims last week alone. The desert highway brought constant challenges. Constant opportunities. Thomas burped. Content. Got the nursery finished? Jackson reported. Security's triple-checked. Most protected baby in 3 counties. They'd made sure. The afternoon sun painted everything gold. New beginnings. Customers trickled in. Regulars. Family now. Baby's growing fast, they'd say. Strong like his parents. Parents. The word still amazed them both. The station hummed with activity. Fresh paint. New purpose. Sanctuary, someone called it. Name stuck. Evening approached. Last preparations for tomorrow's reopening. Ready? Jackson asked, locking up. Naomi looked around. Father's legacy transformed. Ready? She confirmed. All of us. Thomas slept in his carrier. Desert child, born into protection. They drove home together, family complete. The station stood guard behind them, silent sentinel. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. They'd face them together, always together. White hospital walls, contractions 5 minutes apart. Breathe, Jackson coached. You've got this. Naomi squeezed his hand, harder than she meant to. Tell me something, she gasped. Distract me. Like what? First time you rode a bike. He smiled. Stole my dad's. Crashed immediately. 6 stitches. Another contraction hit. Stronger. More, she demanded. Joined the Marines to spite him. Found purpose instead. The nurse checked monitors. Almost there. Naomi's grip tightened. Keep talking. FBI recruited me after discharge. Thought I could make a difference. You did. She breathed through pain. Those girls. You made the difference. His eyes met hers. Showed me home exists. The doctor entered. Time to push. Everything blurred. Pain, pressure, purpose. Jackson's voice anchored her. Steady, sure. Almost there, he encouraged. Almost. Thomas entered the world screaming. Fighter's lungs. He's perfect, the doctor announced. Healthy boy. Jackson cut the cord, hands shaking slightly. They placed Thomas on Naomi's chest. Tiny, powerful. Hello, she whispered. We've been waiting. Jackson touched the baby's hand. Thomas gripped his finger. Strong, he said roughly, like his mother. The desert sunrise painted the room gold. Pete arrived with flowers, stood guard outside anyway. Force of habit, he explained. Nurses came, went, life continued. But in that room time stopped. Thomas nursed. Natural, instinctive. Never thought, Jackson started. I know, Naomi smiled. Me neither. The baby slept. Perfect trust. He'll be safe, Jackson promised. Always. We all will. Hospital security did hourly checks. Pete's arrangement, friends visited, community solidarity. Thomas met them all, quiet, observant. Got your eyes, Naomi told Jackson. Your spirit, he countered. Night fell, stars emerged. The desert welcomed its newest defender, born into love, into protection, into family, finally complete. The new sign gleamed, desert sanctuary, gas, food, safe haven. 1 year later, Thomas took wobbly steps between gas pumps. Careful, buddy, Jackson spotted him, always watching. Naomi checked the security feeds. Habit now, safety first. 3 trucks pulled in, regulars, part of the community. Got another one, Pete's text read. Coming in hot. A beaten Honda appeared minutes later. Young woman driving, scared eyes. Naomi met her at the pump. Welcome to Sanctuary. The woman hesitated. I heard, you help people? Come inside, Naomi led her. You're safe now. Jackson watched the road. Thomas played in his playpen behind the counter. The station hummed. New purpose, new life. Got a place lined up, Jackson told the woman later. Fresh start, she cried. Thanked them. Left stronger. Number 47. Souls saved this year. The desert highway brought them. Sanctuary helped them fly. Thomas grabbed tools from Jackson's belt. Future mechanic. Like father, like son, Naomi teased. Better future, Jackson corrected. Safer one. The community grew around them. Support network expanding. FBI still called sometimes. Asked for intel. Jackson helped when he could. On his terms now. Their terms. The station transformed. Added rooms, services, safe houses connected by desert roads, underground railroad reimagined. Thomas grew strong, protected by many, loved by all. Naomi's father would be proud. Legacy evolved. Evening approached. Family dinner time. Pete joined them. Extended family now. To Sanctuary, he toasted, and its guardians. Thomas babbled agreement. Desert child. The security system watched silently. Constant guardian. But the real protection lay in connection. Community, family, love. Jackson held Naomi close, watched their son play. Thank you, he whispered. For what? Trusting me, that first night. She smiled. Thank you for staying. The desert sunset painted everything gold. Tomorrow would bring new souls seeking shelter. They'd be ready, always ready, together, forever.